time as we start things back for 2015. I'm your host, Jonathan Sellers, and we're joined by the Director of Athletics for Troy University, John Hartwell, and we've got a lot to talk about because it's been a while since we've done one of these, and Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, Jonathan. Yeah, it's been since before the holiday break that we've gotten together, and while our students went on break, there wasn't much of a break from an athletics perspective, but a lot of good things, a lot of positive momentum going on within our department.
And let's go ahead and talk about football. I know still people are on that high from the hiring of Neil Brown, and we did get to talk about that right after that hiring, and we knew some of the staff that would remain from the previous staff, but a lot of new guys have been brought in, and starting with Vic Koenig, a person that a lot of fans are familiar with from his previous time at Troy.
Yes, absolutely, and it worked out very well that we were able to bring Vic back. Most recently, the assistant head coach at the University of North Carolina under Larry Fedora, and certainly a guy who's been at Troy before, understands our place, has experienced tremendous success here on the defensive side of the ball, and I know that, and also a guy that's been a head coach before, and that was one of the things that Neil talked about during the interview process and during the hiring process, was the fact that he wanted to have at least one, if not more than one, guys with a significant number of years of experience, and certainly in Vic, he also gets a guy that's been a head coach before. As Neil said, he goes, I don't get better, we don't get better surrounding myself with a bunch of yes people. He said, I want some folks who challenge, and certainly some guys who have been through the battles before, and that I can rely on. And certainly in Vic, he got that. And you can look right down the line, including the most recent hire, Bam Hardman, a guy. People who follow SEC football remember him. He was an all-SEC lineman at Florida. He's a native of Jacksonville. Will give us a tremendous presence in the state of Florida from a recruiting standpoint. He is familiar with Vic because he worked for him. He was a GA when Vic was at Illinois. So, another tremendous addition to our staff.
Well, and also some guys that Troy fans, and especially Neil Brown, are familiar with. Cornelius Williams, a big one, a receiver here through all those championship years, and is now back on the staff as a receivers coach on the offensive side.
Yeah, and Cornelius, another guy who gives us, a tremendous recruiting presence, a guy that played at Hoover High School, as you said, had a successful career here at Troy. Most recently has been on the staff at UAB. Another guy that brings a lot to us. You can talk about some of the other guys that are here too. John Sumrall, who was a teammate of Neil's at the University of Kentucky, has had a successful coaching career very early in the stages. He was a GA at Kentucky. He's an Alabama native also from Huntsville. Was very successful on the Division III level at University of San Diego as both a defensive coordinator and a recruiting coordinator. Has spent the past couple of years as co-defensive coordinator at Tulane, and again, a guy who fits our staff, fits Troy University, and has a tremendous reputation, not only as a developer of talent on the defensive side of the ball, but also as a recruiter.
Well, speaking of recruiting, I know coaches are ready to hit the road. They kind of had that dead period until the middle of January. We're at that mark, and they're kind of unleashed, and they're out hitting the roads right now. How are those things going? Yeah,
I had a tremendous first January weekend of on-campus visits this past weekend. Got 3 or 4 commitments out of that weekend, and gearing up for another big weekend this weekend. Most of those guys are out on the road during the week this week, and will all be coming back in off the road on Friday for another big weekend of on-campus visits.
And I know signing day is in the beginning of February, February 4th. Maybe a little mix-up this year having a signing day party. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, it is. We wanted to create an opportunity where our fans could come out and get engaged, where our coaching staff would be available after this 3-week marathon of recruiting, and once the hay is in the barn, if you will, from signing day, to give our coaching staff an opportunity to talk a little bit about these young men and to also interact with our fans. So from 5:30 till 7:30 on that Wednesday, February 4th, up on the 4th floor in the Stadium Club, an opportunity for folks to come out, have some hors d'oeuvres, and visit with our coaching staff and learn about the newest Troy Trojans.
Now, have any dates been set yet for spring football? Do we know when that's going to be, or is that still being worked out right now?
They are finalizing the individual practice dates, but the culmination will be on April 25th, which will be a huge weekend. That weekend, we've already announced that will be our Hall of Fame induction weekend. We also have baseball and softball at home that weekend, and also the spring game. And if that wasn't enough, also Troy Fest is going on that weekend. So for our viewers out there beyond the Troy proper area, mark that weekend on your calendar, because it'll be a tremendous weekend to come in, spend the weekend, take in not only the festivities of Troy athletics, but the city as well.
That'd be a great weekend. And let's talk about some teams that are currently in action. The basketball team specifically, men coming off a big win on Saturday against Georgia Southern, who was in the top of the Sun Belt. Lost last night to Appalachian State, but the women on a roll right now, 6 in a row. Yeah,
Coach Shanda Rigby and her team really on a roll. And as you said, last night beat what I thought was a really good Appalachian State team. It gave them a run, but our team, as they've done throughout this winning streak, found a way to to pull away towards the end of the game. And you could talk about every individual on that team, and certainly they're playing as a team, not as individuals. But you do have to give some individual accolades to Ashley Beverly Kelly, who last night not only had a career high with 34 points, eclipsing her previous career high by 1, but also joined the 1,000-point club. And it was great to be able to honor her with a game ball after the game. But again, 6 wins in a row. I think that's the first time since the 04-05 season, excuse me, with that many in a row. And, they'll look to stay hot. Thursday night, they'll have their work cut out for them, because both our men and women travel to Little Rock to play University of Arkansas Little Rock. I think Little Rock's women's team is 12-3 on the season. So, but a great opportunity, and you can't say enough about the job Shanda Rigby and her staff have done.
As you said, they're playing well as a team. There's really a different player stepping up each night. There are some of those. Ashley Beverly Kelly is kind of the glue, but there's different people taking the lead each time out there.
Yeah, there really is. You look back to last year's team, and I see 2 significant differences. One, last year, the offense was so much based on Joanna Harden, and certainly she was a tremendous player. But I think down the stretch, folks started keying on her. Whereas this year's team, yes, Ashley Beverly Kelly is the leader, but there are some tremendous, that scoring ability is spread all around the team, so you can't key on 1 or 2 players. The other thing that I think is huge, especially in this stretch run, is the defensive pressure and the number of turnovers that has caused, and those turnovers in turn lead to some easy conversions on the other end. So again, that team is playing really, really well right now.
And the men, they're playing well. They're not catching some breaks last night. Appalachian State just shot the ball really well, and Troy just couldn't seem to get a basket. And the injury bug has kind of hit that team as well. Yeah,
it has, and really down to 8 scholarship players right now, but they're playing hard. Like you said, got a big win over league leader Georgia Southern on Saturday. And really the injury bug has hit really our inside game more so than the perimeter players. And for that reason, we're living and dying somewhat by the perimeter jump shot, which last night down the stretch, both Wesley Person, who's been playing tremendously, I think he was 2 for 10 from 3-point range last night, and also Musa, who had been playing very well, was off from downtown as well last night. The other factor last night for both the men and women, and obviously our women have a little bit more depth, 3rd game in 5 days. When you don't have depth, when you can't spread that playing time around 11 or 12 players, it takes its toll when you have that many games in that short of a period. And certainly I think down the stretch in the second half last night, that played a difference, because the men were up by 5 at halftime and just kind of really hit a wall in that second half. So, they're 2-5 in the league right now, not where they want to be. But I'm certain Coach Cunningham, I visited with him a little bit this morning, he'll regroup, and you know, they'll get on a bus on Wednesday to head to Little Rock, and I'm sure they'll be ready to play.
And both of those teams will be back home this Saturday as they face Arkansas State, right?
Yeah, you know, and that's one thing. We had a conference call this morning, and I met with both Shanda and Phil, that we're trying to work on not only as Troy University, but as a league next year for scheduling, because literally the way that this year's basketball schedule has set up, we have crisscrossed, you know, what feels like the country, but in essence, from San Marcos, Texas, to Boone, North Carolina, back across to Little Rock, to Statesboro, Georgia, and these split weekends where, you know, you have to get on a bus on Thursday, bus to Little Rock, you know, which is a 8-hour bus ride, to play Thursday night, to get on the bus after that, to get back at, you know, probably 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning, to turn around and get ready to play again Saturday afternoon, is hard from two real standpoints. One, the missed class time, and certainly, as I tell people all the time, they're students first, athletes second. So we've got to find a way to cut down on that missed class time. And then certainly from a performance standpoint, I don't care how well you play on Thursday night, you have 2 8-hour stretches on buses within a 36-hour period. To turn around and think that those kids can perform at the peak level on Saturday is a very difficult thing to do.
Well, so, I mean, the schedule isn't kind of what you intended, but hopefully fans can get out there Saturday and cheer on the Trojans as they take on Arkansas State.
Yeah, you know, it's a big set of games for us, both Thursday on the road in Little Rock and back home Saturday against Arkansas State. I can promise you it'll be entertaining. If nothing else, it's entertaining to watch John Brady, the head coach of Arkansas State, and his antics on the sideline. But yeah, let's get a big crowd back out Saturday. You know, our student fan base has been tremendous. It's one thing I'll have to give Neil Brown credit for, and both our men's and women's coaches were talking about that this morning. You look up last night for both the women's and men's game, probably 65, 70 of our football players in attendance at the game. So really something that Neil is stressing, the family atmosphere, and hey, we've got to all be in it for one another, not just supporting football, but supporting all of our other student athletes.
That's really good to see. Well, speaking of other athletes that are starting to compete, things are slowly starting to get back together as track is now underway, as well as tennis teams have both started competition. Yeah,
our track team competed in an indoor meet in Birmingham this past weekend. I think we had 5 or 6 personal bests. So our track staff, which again in their first year is doing a tremendous job of developing both our men's and women's team. Our men's tennis team competed against Florida A&M, and Florida State this past weekend. You know, Florida is a nationally ranked team. We lost 6-2 to them, but I know it was a very close match. Came back and beat FAMU, and then you know, competed very well against Florida State too. So I know Coach Scott Kidd and you know, that team, a lot of good things are going to come this spring from them as well.
All right, well, a lot to look forward to, and we'll try to keep up with it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Great, thanks, Jonathan.
All right, stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. And welcome back to It's Tea Time, and we're going to take a look at the men's basketball team with the head coach of the Trojans, and that's Coach Phil Cunningham. And Coach, y'all been busy as of late, 3 games over the past 5 days. Picked up a big win on Saturday night as you beat Georgia Southern, and then Monday night lost to Appalachian State in a close game. But let's recap the game against Georgia Southern, one of the top teams in the Sun Belt, and y'all just seemed to come out on fire on that one.
Well, we played well. We played at Monroe on Thursday night and had a 7-hour bus ride and got home early Friday morning, and so we had a really quick turnaround. And Georgia Southern came into the contest winning 4 games, having won 4 games in a row, and just off a big win over Louisiana Lafayette on Thursday night. And I thought they were really good. You know, we didn't know a whole lot about Georgia Southern coming into the season because they're new to the Sun Belt. But you know, once I studied them on video, I was really impressed with them and knew we'd have our hands full. And the guys really came out and played well. And even at the end of the game, when it looked like Georgia Southern might have taken control, our guys just kept fighting and pulled away there at the end.
And that's got to be something you've got to be happy with your team, especially a younger team, to be able to finish a game.
Yeah, and we've been struggling with that because we've been we've been right there. You know, we go to Georgia State, the preseason #1 team in the league, and it's a back and forth game the entire game. And in fact, we're probably leading 75-80% of that game. And then a couple possessions go against us, and they hit a big three, and get a couple offensive rebounds to beat us. Then even at Monroe, who won at Louisiana Lafayette last night, and they're now in sole possession of first place. We go up 1 with 5 minutes to go at Monroe, and I had the ball and just couldn't finish. So I know when it got close like that, everybody probably was thinking, okay, can we finish? Can we finish? And we didn't talk about it a whole lot. We just in the huddles, we just talked about keep playing hard, keep playing aggressive, and made the plays down the stretch to win the game.
And then Monday night took on App State. It was a back-and-forth battle. Your team led at halftime, but then App State just continued to make baskets, and it seemed like your baskets weren't going in.
Yeah, that was a tough loss because we had gained some momentum with the win on Saturday and had been playing well with not winning those 2 road games. And we know in league play you need to win at home and then go steal some wins on the road. And so that was a tough one, and particularly the way we finished the first half. We really finished strong. Thought we got aggressive. We came out a little flat. They hit 3-4 threes in the first 5 minutes, and they were getting us on the offensive glass and getting some second chance baskets. But then we settled down and we started playing and played real aggressive. Aaron Ariri came in and had a couple of huge athletic putback dunks that got us going. And so going into halftime, we felt pretty good. But what we told our guys at halftime, they're a tough physical team. Don't think they're going to give up. It's not in their it's not their nature to give up. And they didn't, and they fought back, and they made a couple of huge shots at the end of the game. Had a couple of crucial threes, and we got some great looks and didn't hit them. But we had our opportunities against App State. I mean, they're a good team, and they played well last night. But that's one we let get away.
And we're not looking to make excuses, but you played 3 games in 5 days. You're playing with kind of a short depth chart right now with only 8 scholarship players really playing. How has that affected you? And I mean, have you talked to your team about that?
Yeah, we don't talk about it a whole lot to the team because we don't ever want to create an atmosphere where there's a built-in excuse. But it definitely had an effect. I mean, I could tell at halftime the energy in the locker room. Even with a 5-point lead and playing pretty good, I could tell the energy had dropped down a little bit. We tried to get them back up, and I think it probably took a toll more on a few individuals. I think Kevin Thomas is a guy that we're practically playing every minute.
Right.
And he plays so hard. He goes after every offensive rebound. We ask him to do a lot defensively, that little 1-3-1 zone we play. He has to chase the ball around a lot at the top, and I thought it affected him at the end. But it probably had an effect on our shooters because we got some great looks from Wesley Person and from Musa Abdul Alim, who are coming into the game, really shooting the ball well in league play and got some great looks down the stretch that just couldn't get to go down.
And you got a chance to pick up a couple more wins this week as you face the Arkansas schools, but one of them's going to be on the road, one will be back at home as you take on UALR on Thursday in Little Rock. What do you know about them?
Well, we just, we go day to day and opponent to opponent, except for the assistant coach who's been scouting and try to get ahead. But even in that, with 3 games in 5 days, and now this being our 4th game in 8 days, even think about it, we only have 3 assistant coaches who rotate scouting. So Coach Begley, who's doing this game, he was preparing from Monroe a week ago. So it's a quick turnaround, but it affects everybody the same way. And Little Rock is a tough, hard-nosed team. That's their calling cards, their defense and their physical play. And as you mentioned, we're down to 8 players and played 7 more than 10 minutes last night. So we've just got to figure out a way to bounce back physically and mentally as much as anything. It won't be much of a preparation because it's such a quick turnaround. But physically and mentally, we've got to be sharp. And coming off a tough loss, sometimes that's hard to do. And that's our job as coaches, to never let them get too high or too low.
Well, and then I know back home Saturdays you take on Arkansas State, and hopefully you'll get a good home crowd for that one. Yeah, we're excited about that. The holiday weekend I think hurt our student crowd. We had a terrific crowd Saturday at our home game for Georgia Southern. I think the afternoon start helped things, and all our Saturday games this year will be at 4. The women start at 2, and we play at practice about 4:30. Right. So I'm looking forward to now seeing how that early start helps with the community. And then now that the students are back in session and don't have the long holiday weekend, if we can combine those 2 factors, we should have a great crowd. All right, Coach. Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck on these upcoming games. All right, stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. Welcome back to It's Tea Time, and now we're going to take a look at the track and field program, who's in their indoor season with the head coach of that program, and that's Coach Mark Davis. And Coach, y'all have been busy for the past 2 weekends, starting off in your season in Birmingham at UAB 2 weekends ago, and this past weekend at North Carolina at a meetup there. And just talk about how it's gone so far.
So far, so good. We've done a lot of good work over the first semester. We did some good things, and we saw a lot of progress. And that's what you're looking for.
Right.
You know, taking over a program with a lot of young kids, and even some of the older kids. I mean, they're really buying into what we're doing. We had a good opener. I took the men and the women at that point. We had some good performances on both sides. This past weekend at North Carolina, we ran extremely well. You know, we had some breakout performances in some of the sprints and the distances as well. So we had some good things happen.
And you even had a freshman come out a winner in one of her meets or in one of her races, Niata Alexander.
Yep.
And it's got to be exciting to see a young runner step up like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. She's one that we've thrown a lot of new things at her, and she's really been able to handle everything. She's doing a really, really good job, and you know, hopefully that can continue.
Now, was this meet at UNC? Was it one of the top meets where there was good, strong competition up there?
There was strong competition. They got the work that they needed to get, and that's why I wanted to take them to a meet like that. You know, get some competition that was a little bit over their heads, and see how they fought for it. And you know, a lot of them competed extremely, extremely well.
Now, where will you be going next?
We're going to UAB again this weekend up in Birmingham. Where I think it's the Green and Gold Invitational.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to learn all this stuff down here. But it's a Saturday meet, one day. So we're looking forward to it. We're taking a few kids on Friday night to get ready for some early morning competition. But
now, how will you prepare for this one any differently than the start of the season? Are you just kind of working some different people in, do anything differently for this one?
Just right now, we're just following the plan. And the way we're doing that is we're able to just keep the rhythm going and letting kids just keep competing. Right now, we have some good things going, like I said. So we're going to just keep going with the hot hand and just let those kids start to develop a little bit. And you know, a lot of the meets indoors, a lot of the events are capped. So we can only take 3 people in one event or 2 people in another event. So it poses some problems logistically in getting everybody involved in what's going on. But as we start to move closer to outdoors and some of the other meets where they're bigger, we're able to add a few more. So we'll be able to get more on that travel roster. Now,
for these indoor meets, is this really just a build up to that outdoor season, or are you wanting your competitors to go all out for these indoor meets?
I'm the type of guy that when we're competing, we're competing.
Okay.
So I don't care if it's indoors or outdoors, or if it's a championship meet or just a regular season meet. I want those guys out there and those women out there competing and competing hard. You know, obviously the women have an indoor championship, the men don't.
Okay.
For the men, we're kind of treating a meet at Middle Tennessee as a championship meet for them. It's a chance for them to go somewhere and compete against maybe some teams that they haven't seen before and score some points. That's the big thing. It's just practice for a conference championship outside. The women, obviously, we have the conference championship, and you know, each week is building on the next week is building on the next week. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for joining us, and good luck this upcoming weekend at UAB.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, stay tuned for more coming up on It's Tea Time. And now let's take a look at the women's basketball team here on It's Tea Time. And as we're here with the head coach of the Trojans, and that's Coach Shander Rigby. And Coach, what can we say about your Lady Trojans?
Yay, we're winning.
6 in a row. I mean, what a run by your team, and it's just got to feel good for you right now.
It's amazing. Just to see the young ladies who've worked so hard for this. We haven't always been winning, but they've always had faith that we would, and we kept working towards it with that faith. And so it's exciting to see them come to fruition.
Do you think more, I mean, a lot of it's their play. They have played really well, but do you think a lot of it is a mental thing? They finally got that winning attitude?
No doubt, confidence. You gain confidence from winning. And I mean, we got it sort of going under our belt with that second conference game, and just kept it rolling. And every game we build more confidence. We're coming up against probably our most stellar opponent with UALR. We're leaving tomorrow for that game. And, you know, they have beat everybody in our conference so far by 20 or more points.
Right.
They beat 2 BCS programs in the pre-conference season, LSU and Oklahoma. So they're legitimately a very good team, but it helps us going into UALR to have that confidence that we feel like we're bringing something to the table as well.
Well, what do you know about Little Rock? I mean, what style do they play, and how do you compare against that style?
Well, we're the leading scorers in the Sun Belt, and they're the leading defenders in the Sun Belt. So that's quite a match. Not a game I look forward to as much as a team that likes to run and score, and we like get big scores. They usually favor keeping a low score in the game, and of course we push for a high score in the game. So it's definitely a clash. They are so good on defense. They play strictly man-to-man defense, and they're one of the best teams I've honestly seen at play in that. They have, I guess, goals that they want to accomplish in their defense, and they work hard to do it, whether it's drive you towards the baseline, keep you out of the middle, whatever it is, they're very good at accomplishing their goals.
Now, something that we've seen in your 6-game winning streak and actually throughout the season is just the variety of players that are stepping up. It's not the same one every single night, and that's got to be good for you. It shows you've got depth, but I mean, what do you think about that? How's it been?
Well, just like with us, the coaching staff, for Troy, we're not sure on any given night which players are going to step up and score. That's also got to be a nightmare for the team that's scouting us. You know, there was a stretch there where Caitlin Ramirez was on the bench and relatively quiet, and then she just came out in one game that had 21 points and 12 rebounds and got Sunbelt Player of the Week. Same thing with Lacey Buchanan. She was just very quiet on our bench, and all of a sudden in the last 4 games, she's just started using her pull-up jumper that it just won't quit. It just won't let a team get ahead of us and keep a lead. Rachel Reed, the same thing. Might be quiet a game or two and then hit 3 clutch threes in the last minute and a half of the game like she did at Lafayette. So, I mean, we just have a lot of players that we never know who's going to step up and help us win.
Well, one who's been kind of consistent, maybe not the leading scorer every time, but probably the leading rebounder has been Renita Garrett, who's averaging, I believe still averaging a double-double throughout the season and probably leads the conference in double-doubles and just again earned Conference Player of the Week this week. Yes,
so proud of Renita. And again, her contribution is almost quiet at times because she's working hard on the boards. That's what she's focusing on. And then she comes up in the game. She also has, 15, 16 points as well. So she is leading the Sun Belt Conference in double-doubles, and I think maybe 4th in the nation. So we're proud of her.
Well, and then I know you said we talked about Little Rock. You go there on Thursday, then travel back Saturday, and you face Arkansas State. Do you know much about Arkansas State yet?
Arkansas State is 2nd in the conference. We're actually 3rd, right behind them. We both only have 1 loss, but they have 1 more win than us. So, again, our toughest 2 conference opponents are probably our next 2 games. So it'd be great to have some support here when we come back on Saturday.
Well, as I said, that it will be a home game. It's a 2:30 or 2 o'clock tip-off?
I think so.
It's an earlier tip-off. Hopefully a big crowd. You've had some good crowds over your past few games and can only get bigger and bigger.
We appreciate it. The crowd that's been coming out, and Coach Neil Brown had the football team out last night. That can't hurt. That can't hurt when you're in a tight game and you have the whole football team over there cheering for you. It was really good. The tennis team came out last Saturday to cheer us on, and we're very thankful.
Now let's just get the rest of the fans, Troy fans out there. And Coach, thank you for joining us, and good luck on these games.
Thank you.
All right, join us again next week for more on It's Tea Time.